The USFL Week 6 reaction show on the USFL Gambling Podcast, which is on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, is brought to you by Edge Boost. Yes, Edge Boost enables you to double your bet with no interest. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge to get started today. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride.
Hey, this is Eric Metcalf. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Football is a unique American experience. A game described by one turn-of-the-century critic as crude and barbaric, with little chance of survival. But survive it did.
I don't give a damn who you are. This is America, Jack. You know how to play winning high-dose football?
Being played in the United States Football League.
Oh my God! Quarterback is close.
We sometimes forget that football, being the consummate team sport, is a great deal more successful when you do it as a unit and don't rely on individual talent. Frankly, I'm impressed with the USFL. America, this league is good for America, and football is a sport that is made for television.
That is football.
I'm like, spring football is going to work in America.
You play to win the game. And now it is time for our USFL report.
Oh, man, we are back on the USFL game. My apologies if you're watching this live on YouTube, youtube.com/USFL Gambling Podcast, or just type in USFL Gambling Podcast in the search engine. I am in Manhattan, and my hotel internet is been shitty as I'm in the middle of this introduction, and I see it fading in and out. So hopefully you're with us. Don't worry, I'll be back in the studio for Thursday's preview and picks and DFS episode. But maybe you're wondering just who the hell you're listening to. My name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I smoke and I drink, and I don't have stress, and I'm healthy.
And you're nothing but a chameleon, lemon-headed, coward, terrorist pussy. And I'm after you, buddy. You're going to pay for it. Good night.
Oh, sir. Sir, I would like to know who the hell are the best teams in the United States Football League, because year 2 is really heating up.
Your guess is as good as anyone's.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And if you're wondering who that is, I am joined by my co-host. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C in the place to be.
Whoa.
Buddy, how are you doing? And I mean,
It's easy to see a tide turn.
because I want to credit you out the gate. First off, folks, I was awful. This is the worst week I've ever had in the United States Football League. I went winless. 0-4 this past weekend, and I will credit Patty C for being all over the Showboats. I still am not sold on their offense, but they get the kick 6. They win. Carnell Lake's defense, looking among the best in the league, or up there with with the Maulers, really. And you were on that. Me and NC Nick, even stacking the money, and Real Money Kramer were all over the Maulers, and the Showboats beat their ass. We'll dive more into that game in a second, but I mean, Patty C, we're gonna break down all of that. But the standings right now, hilarious. We kind of thought New Orleans was the best team in the league. They've lost 2 in a row, and actually the past 3 games, their offense has done diddly poo, to quote the great Jim Mora. And Meanwhile, we thought the Philadelphia Stars were the worst team in the league. Meanwhile, they're the 1 seed in the North if the season ended today. What the hell is happening in this league, Patty C?
Last week we had the Stars as the worst team in the league. Now they are the only team that stands alone at the top of their conference in terms of standings, and probably based on that, the most likely to make the playoffs. When you're going from the worst team in the league to the most likely to make the playoffs in a span of like 2 hours or 48 hours, then yes, this league is very even. A lot of parity going on right now.
Oh, a lot of parity, and I was shocked on a lot of fronts when regarding this league, game by game. We're gonna get into all of that action, but before we do that, I want to tell you that the USFL Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Edge Boost. Yes, have you signed up for Edge Boost yet? If not, let me tell you that you are missing out, because Edge Boost is the world's first bet now, pay later Visa card. Yes, similar to buy now, pay later programs, Edge Boost enables you to double your bet with no interest and pay back the advance over 4 equal weekly installments. That's right, people, 0% interest. Simply deposit funds into your account, and Edge Boost will match the deposit so you can use twice or 2 times the amount of funds on any legal sports betting site. Edge currently offers up to $2,500 in advances. Up to $2,500 you can add to your bankroll. My Edge Boost double down play of the week was the Maulers. That didn't hit, but I got some good ones I will give away on Thursday's show. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge to sign up today. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge. You must be 21 years or older. Only valid in legal gambling states. You got a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. We are back on the USFL Gambling Podcast, and Pat TC, we should probably just jump right into this. The Maulers did not score. First off, I don't understand some of Ray Horton's strat. Like, I think he's a good coach. I actually believe he's a good coach, right?
Yeah.
You got to start going. You got to go for some of these 4th and 1s at like the 47. When you're on the other team's 47 and you're punting, I have issues with that. But to be fair, later in the game
is, I don't know. That's right in no man's land. Anywhere from the 50s.
The returns are so huge. It's like you gotta go for that. You know what I mean?
Are the punt returns that huge, or are the kick return, or are both? Obviously, the kick return.
I'm just saying, like, your starting field position is that. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like you gotta stay aggressive and go for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I just feel. But now, to be fair, they did try a 4th and 1 late in the 4th quarter, didn't work, or mid 4th quarter didn't work. They were getting, they got the entire game, but get this. They had 60 yards more offense. They were getting 5 yards of play. Meanwhile, the Showboats had 3.8 yards of play, and mainly because I feel like Pittsburgh missed field goals, but also the big kick 6. Did you catch this one? Derek Dillon taking it back. What a great play.
Incredible play. But I feel like they didn't, someone pointed it out online, and I thought I clearly saw him, while the ball was in the air with his feet on the line, out of bounds, But they only showed it as he was catching the ball, and his feet were clearly in at that point. And, amazing return. I have no, obviously, video evidence to fully conclude that he did step out of bounds. So when I watched it again, I was like, yeah, maybe he is in bounds. And, yeah, that's got to be, the longest play possible in football, right? That was by, a centimeter that he stayed in bounds in the back of the end zone. 109.9 yards later, he's dancing.
Yeah, and the Memphis Showboats have this just amazing, 110-yard Antonio Cromartie touchdown or kick 6, whatever you want to say. The Showboats didn't turn the ball over. They created 3 turnovers. That's 10-0 in the past 3 weeks. So Todd Haley's offense, as much as it's been pretty lackluster, they're not turning the ball over, and the defense has created 10 turnovers the past 3 weeks. Carnell Lake getting after it. I kind of feel like Pittsburgh I still feel like if they play tomorrow, I'm taking Pittsburgh. I know that sounds crazy because they just lost 22-0. I still think I would do that.
For as much as they pass the eye test on defense, they fail it on offense. They really have no weapons. Bailey Gaither, their wide receiver, was their leading rusher with 2 carries for 16 yards. Like, they can't establish the run at all. Troy Williams had a pick. Morgan, the backup, had 2 picks, and I don't know. They 38 passing attempts to how many rushing attempts? To 17 rushing attempts. Trying to get a little fancy here, but I guess when you don't have...
why though? It seems like there's a blueprint. If you don't turn the ball over, you're going to win. I mean, look at Memphis right now. They've won 3 in a row. They don't turn the ball over. To me, you pass the ball more in these leagues, the more chances are you have at turnovers. And it's not like they gave Madre London 5 carries. Now, only 2.8 yards a rush, sure. But Groshek only had 1 carry. It's not like they're committing to the run with their running backs much, even though I know the running backs have been pretty awful this year.
Pretty terrible.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, Henny had 8 for 103.
He's a good wideout. Yeah. You got to feed him more. I mean, they love the screen and the short out game. They just love doing that. Maybe Williams just can't throw the ball down the field very well. I guess, one of his throws down the field was an interception. Or maybe this offense just isn't designed to throw the ball down the field, but I don't know. They have nothing, and this was we saw them playing from behind and them having to pass probably a little more, and these are the results you get.
But to be fair, Carnell Lake's defense has been pretty fire the past 3 weeks. And, man, one of those Williams plays, I think that was on the pick, the right guard gets destroyed, just absolutely destroyed. Like, that play never had a chance.
Yeah.
That's always
I'm not blaming it all on Williams. I'm just saying that they don't have anything going offensively, whether it be schematically or personnel-wise. It's just not happening.
Well, I mean, at the same time, though, you look at Memphis, they did get outgained. Pittsburgh had 60 yards more offense than the Showboats. And,
incredible.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Cole Kelly's only completed 58% of his passes last week, and they still can't run the ball.
Yeah.
31 rushes, 96 yards. That's the difference, though, is that they 31 rushes from a Todd Haley coach team is extreme. I feel like, they're dictating the pace of the game and burning that clock, even though they're only getting 3.1 yards a carry. It's enough. It's enough. Vinny Papali had a big touchdown on a little slant that he took for 38 yards, I think, for a score. That was really their only offensive touchdown of the day. The rest were field goals and
kick sixes.
Kick 6. I mean, like I said, I would take Pittsburgh if they played tomorrow again, because I just believe that I'm starting to really believe, though, in Carnell Lake's defense. I'll tell you that.
Well, I mean, pitching a shutout will do that.
Yeah, 10 turnovers to 0 in the past 3 weeks. And I'll even credit Todd Haley some. At least you're not turning the ball over.
Yeah.
Which seems to be half the battle in these spring leagues. But, man, 22-0, I had, that was my lock of the week. Got my ass kicked on that.
A lot of this, I do feel like, just has to do with leverage a little bit and, being in a position where you're forced to come back, because this is still a low-scoring league. If we're looking at the scoreboards here, let me pull up some of the other ones. No one scored above 27, and almost every other team in the league, no one else scored above 20. The Showboats had the second highest, and they didn't even score an offensive touchdown. So points, despite the incredible field position to start the drives, are very hard to come by in this league.
Yeah, you're right. And, especially if you consider the Memphis kick 6.
Yeah.
This then it would be 16-0 or no, the 15-0. It's been wild. It's been wacky. Patty C right now, even though Memphis is red hot, they are not in the playoffs if the season ended today. They're actually in dead last. Meanwhile, the Maulers are tied. Now, if the playoffs started today, the Generals would be in. The Maulers and Panthers still have the same record as the Generals, but they are the Generals have the tiebreaker, so the Generals would still be in. But I mean, does this change any of your belief in like Pittsburgh being a playoff contender, like a team that could go to the Freedom Cup, or what about Memphis? Do you think they could perhaps sneak in?
Yes, on both. To answer that question, it 100% impacts my opinion on Pittsburgh because a lot of what we were seeing was based on a consistent upward trend. Now, you had to figure that at some point they were going to come back down to earth and that it just wasn't just going to be this, astronomical rise in the Pittsburgh offense. And that's what happened.
They're not built for coming back to.
Yeah.
You go down 13-0. That is a tough spot to put your offense in.
Yeah.
I get it. One of them was a kick six. I mean, what's crazy is Pittsburgh's had a decent special teams all year too, but obviously they got burned on that. And maybe you were right if he stepped out of bounds. I wasn't paying attention to that, but you could be right there. Let's talk about the next game that happened on the slate here. Birmingham 27, Michigan 13. This was incredibly frustrating for me. I took Michigan as my live dog right before the half. So Michigan goes up. So Michigan goes up 3-0. Then Birmingham ties it up. It's 3-3 after 1. Alex McGough is a fucking beast. He's running all over the field. They score 10 in the second quarter, so it's 13-3. But Michigan's in scoring position, like probably at the the 12-yard line, if memory serves me correct. And the offense isn't working. If you spike the ball, they kick in a dome, like a 29-yard field goal or something. I feel like the 32-yard field goal, something like that. And for some stupid reason, Josh Love tries to essentially do a quarterback and move the ball over to the hash. And
I feel like they were trying to run a play, but the look they had wasn't there. So he kind of just freaked out and didn't know what to do. Maybe he was just trying to move it over to the right hash.
Well, it was incredibly frustrating because they had no timeouts. Michigan is honestly, I think New Jersey's the only other team you could say more that shoots themselves in the foot. To me, both those teams, and they have the same record, they're not as bad as the record indicates to me. I mean, Michigan had missed field goals, I think 2. Obviously, if they would maybe have made this field goal, it was like a 30-yarder, or if you could just punch it in on one of these red zone possessions. It's been such a challenge for the Panthers. And, so they get 0 points there. They come out in the third quarter and score to cut it to a 3-point game. And then McGough and the Stallions score 14 in the fourth to Michigan's 3. But I feel like, once again, if you just dive into this game, this was a pretty even game. It's just Skip Holtz and the Stallions capitalized on their opportunities. The Panthers did not. I mean, from a yardage standpoint, the Stallions were getting 5.5 yards of play. The Panthers 5.2 yards of play. The difference is they scored 3 touchdowns in the red zone. Michigan only got 1. Michigan also missed several field goals, and obviously the play that I'm talking about where they never even got to attempt a field goal. I feel like this game, I should have at least covered it. Now, I called for them to be my dog of the week, but it was very frustrating for me.
That was rough. I mean, right at the end of the half, and all the other things you mentioned, I feel like they really could have been right in that game. What was the other? No, that was the. But what I feel like there was critical interceptions being thrown.
I think one pick I think was but McGough, football is especially in the spring leagues.
I wonder.
Oh yeah,
okay. They didn't throw one. I feel like there was something. Yeah, you're right. There was something that.
I think maybe the wideout fumbled. Maybe that was it. But my point is that I feel like these spring leagues, I don't know if they're just trying to mimic the NFL so much. Football is easier than it needs to be. Like they try to make it so complex. Skip Holtz, he did that option read with McGough and Marable the whole game. And Marable had 18 for 100, 5.6 yards a carry. McGough had 82 yards on the ground and a score, 7.5 yards a rush. He also threw for $133. And I thought, man, he's got some moxie, man. a couple of those plays, he sat there right along the line of scrimmage. So he rushes up, he is aware enough to where the line of scrimmage is, so he doesn't pass it, and is able to extend these plays and find open targets. And I feel like that was really the difference in the game. That and the missed opportunities by Michigan.
He's the best quarterback in the league to me.
He didn't even start. He didn't even start, dude, for this team.
Yeah, who was the starter at the beginning of the season?
Jamar Smith. Won. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, he's statistically backing it up. Let me see if I have that pulled up. He's got 12 touchdowns to 3 picks, and some of the other leaders in the league. Bethel Thompson, 8 touchdowns, 5 picks. Case Cook is 5 touchdowns, 7 picks. So his 4-to-1 touchdown interception ratio destroys anyone else in the league. And like you said, he's got those wheels. He extends plays. And lo and behold, Birmingham is back at the top of the standings and has the biggest point differential of any team in the league. And they're looking like they figured it out again.
But once again, this goes back, and I don't know if it's just me because I prefer college football to pro football. I think Skip Holtz gets it. Dude, they ran the same play, I feel like, 30 times this game. The option read, and it's like it freezes the defense, and either Marable beats them or McGough beats them, or they go play action out of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is to me, like, that was all coaching, that win. And, Birmingham, it still might be the best team in the league, dude. I'm very compelled. I think this year's more interesting than last year for the United States Football League because I you got the adversity that Birmingham's dealing with losing Vic Bolden and then, Marlon Williams for the season, Jamar Smith for the season. Scarborough hasn't played. Scooby Wright's been dinged up. They've had so much adversity, but here they are 4-2 and,
finding a way.
Yeah.
Marable finally cracking 100. The offense they're starting to get it figured out. I mean, they had the most points of any team in the league this week.
Skip. That was just simple. That's like I said, like, I feel like Pittsburgh should just be looking at what Skip Holtz does and be like, hey, we have Troy Williams and Madre London. Let's just do this every single week. It doesn't need to be some super complex thing. Call me crazy, but Patty C, I'm curious. I know we got to do our power rankings with NC Nick here, but I'm very curious to see if you think Birmingham is the best team in the league. Do you want to reveal that hand right now? Do you think they're the best team in this league again?
It's tough because the Gamblers with Thompson are winners of 4 in a row. They're 4-0 with him, 0-2 without him, and he continues to ball and be a difference maker. So, it's not like his impact isn't being shown on a weekly basis. Even this game, they really tried to bottle him up, and he still kind of, got his and had a big impact, was a difference maker. So, I don't know. I'd be lying if I had a real idea of who's the best.
Well, I just went 0-4, so I should just shut the fuck up and just try to figure this out. Folks, before we get to the next 2 games, one of them with Mark Thompson that Patty C is alluding to, want to tell you that the USFL Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Shady Rays and Shady May. Yes, Shady Rays is teaming up with SGPN for Shady May. Not only do you get an amazing 50% off, but you also get a chance to win $500 of cold hard cash. Shady Rays has you covered from the sun to the slopes with premium polarized shades, customizable snow goggles, and much, much more. Shady Rays has durable frames and extremely clear optics for all those outdoor adventures that you plan on going on this summer. And look, they have the best deal. If you lose or break your pair of glasses, even on day 1, they told us they'll send you a brand new pair and get this, no questions asked. Yeah, that means you could be having a big ass bonfire and you had one too many Jaeger bombs and you just decide to throw your glasses up into the fire, right? Well, then the next morning you wake up, you realize what a fucking idiot you were the night before. And then you go over there and you see your old bonfire from the night before. All right, hopefully you didn't kill anyone, like that Netflix documentary where they had maybe some bone fragments. But anyway, you pick up Making a Murder. That's what I'm thinking of. You pick up those old glasses, and you say you write an email over to Shady Rays, or you contact them and say, hey, broke my pair of glasses, they're just going to send you another one. No questions asked. You don't have to tell them that you're a fucking idiot. All right. So that's a great deal in my mind. So, yeah, check them out. And for our international listeners, Shady Rays has you covered as well with shipping to Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. Go to ShadyRays.com. Use that promo code SGPN for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. And remember, May is almost over, so make sure to take your receipt to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/shady for your chance to win $500 of Shady May contest, baby. Hop on over there, and remember, as always, folks, to let it ride. All right, we are back on the USFL Gambling Podcast. Patty C, my terrible weekend continued as I continue to cough. I don't know what's happening to me over here, but the breaker 1-2s, man, this was a crazy game, because if you watch this game too, and shout out to Bart Andrews, because they're just figuring out ways to get this done. They actually showed up on offense. Now, the Stars offense last week against the Generals was terrible. Somehow they found a way to get it done. But this week, 7 yards of play, they really put the kibosh on the Breakers offense, which I read a stat. I wish I should have pulled this for the show. The past 3 weeks, the Breakers offense been terrible compared to the first 4 weeks. People are figuring out McLeod Bethel Thompson and the breaker 1-2s.
West Hills a little bit, even though 74 yards is a decent, rushing outing. It's not what he was doing.
Yeah. And to me, the big play, obviously, the game, the difference in the game was the pick six. The pick six was everything. Yeah, that's such a huge play in a game like that where you're both struggling. And
the Stars offense didn't score.
Those field goals. They got their kicker, but they created two turnovers on defense, 2 picks, and one of them being a pick six by the Stars. And don't look now, but McLeod Bethel Thompson, even 1 touchdown, 2 picks. That was pretty much the difference in the game. The Stars defense showed up to play. And I was surprised they didn't have they didn't give up at least 100 to West Hills, but
Matt Colburn. Let's give credit to the rushing attack of Philadelphia. Matt Colburn had a 25-yard run, which is longer than his highest rushing output in any game this season in one single play. 62 yards on the day. That's more what we're looking for, Philly.
Dude, I'm convinced he's actually a good running back. And they just have terrible run blocking, and they don't commit to him that often. When I watch him on screen, he pops to me. I'm like,
right to running backs.
Yes, I'm like, he's better than. I don't understand how he's not putting up like at least 75 a week. And I'm like, I get it. Their run blocking's been terrible this year, but like, if I'm Matt Colburn, you might want to switch. You might want to hit the trade me to another team here. Because I think he's good, man. I think he's a good back.
He's 11th in the league in rushing right now. Who I'm gonna rattle off these 10. You let me know if you think he's better than some of these guys. West Hills, probably not. Maybe.
I'll tell you. To me, I don't want to say he's better than the league's leading rusher, but
he's got.
There are times where he pops off screen more to me, and I think he's a very good running back out of the backfield as well. I would love to see him in like Skip Holtz's offense. I think that would be very exciting. But anyway, continue on.
Use him properly. Darius Victor.
I think he's more complete than Darius Victor. Darius Victor's not as good out the backfield. Matt Colburn is a guy that can beat you in many ways. So,
but Victor is so much more effective between the tackles.
Yeah. Agreed.
Mark Thompson, you have to say no, right?
No.
Right. CJ Marable.
I think he's better than CJ Marable.
They're comparable, but I think you're right. I think he's probably a little better. Reggie Corbin.
Yeah, I like Corbin. I feel bad for him because I feel like they're very predictable on offense.
Yeah.
But I will say Coburn does kind of pop. I think he's more complete than Reggie Corbin. So I'll say he's better.
Okay, and it's funny because there are 3 quarterbacks that are ahead of him in rushing, so he's actually the 9th leading rusher in the league from running backs. Scott from Michigan. Forgetting his first name.
Stevie Scott from Indiana. Yeah, he's pretty solid too. Michigan's got good backs, man. And it's just interesting to see that the Stars are now in first place, man. I like Case Cookus, by the way. Did you see living on the edge, man? Living on the edge. He throws, dude, he did the ultimate cha-cha-cha pass. He did like a no-look falling out of bounds that got picked.
Oh, yeah.
And
he got picked, right?
Yeah, and he didn't get burnt on it because they missed a field goal. But but man,
like throw it over his shoulder or something.
Yeah, and then he threw in the double coverage with 2 minutes left that almost gave the Breakers the comeback win.
Cookies.
But hey, man, they're in first place. I'm shocked.
Well, Andrus, I'm starting to believe is like actually a pretty decent coach.
Well, no, we said this last year. I mean, this is a guy that's coached everywhere. He knows how to adapt. Just like we said, Skip Holtz, one of the benefits of college football is that you constantly have to be adapting your roster. And we feel the same way with Andrus. He has a college background, a pro background, but spring, high school, D3, you know what I mean? Like all over. So I believe the guy can flat out coach. The defense has gotten better over the past couple of weeks.
And this goes back to our old argument over what makes a good coach, a well-oiled machine on offense or defense, or a dude that finds ways to win games. I think he had that last year, throwing the ball all over the place. Now he's doing it. He's winning a different way, just finding a way. So that's being able to do both probably means he is a pretty good coach.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is, man. If you're a Breaker fan, I think you got to be a little nervous because I get it. They won one of those games, but 1-2 in their last 3. They've lost 2 straight, and the offense has been terrible the past 3 weeks. So have they been figured out, Patty C, is the question.
Nah, I mean, I think they still have a balanced quarterback and run game situation. I think they're still from a team construction standpoint, pretty well positioned. They got to figure out tweak some things to, maybe the other teams have caught up to them a little bit, but I still think they're fine.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I don't know. I feel like Houston's playing better than them right now. And I feel like if you told me right now, since they all have the same record in the South, I feel like Birmingham and Houston probably going to end up in the playoffs. New Orleans not. I don't want to overreact, but that division's really loaded. Another thing is Memphis keeps winning. Who knows what can happen? Patty C, this is the most frustrating game of the week for me because I took the Generals. I did not know Kenji Bahar was going to play. I had heard. Well, even a bigger factor was that I find out on Saturday morning, Sunday morning, I believe, that Kyle Lauletta Cheese is going to be starting, and they benched DeAndre Johnson. And I'm like, why? Look, I get it. DeAndre Johnson wasn't throwing the ball all over the field.
Yeah.
But he's not why they lost the week before. That was because Darius Victor had 3 fumbles. I have issues with it, man. And Lauletta Cheese sucks. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And even that touchdown, they were down 20 points. He struggled the whole game until the fourth quarter when the defense got a little more open up in that prevent. Darius Victor just 10 for 38. Trey Williams 4 for 14. I have issues with Mike Riley doing this because I truly believe they are much more dangerous on offense with DeAndre Johnson at quarterback.
Of course.
What are you doing? He wasn't injured, man. He benched him and didn't play him 1 snap.
Yeah. Dude, you have to, if you have a dude of that level of athleticism at quarterback, he may not be cranking out the passing stats you want, but understand like the multiplier that is to the offense to have a quarterback with legs, because you stretch the defense horizontally at the line of scrimmage by bootlegging him. You're able to run different plays, and that opens up the passing game. So even if he's not, generating a ton of passing stats, that's probably because you're running the ball more with him, most of the time when you have a mobile quarterback.
Dude, Riley cost him the game, in my opinion. Like, that offense did nothing. They were getting shut out, I think, 2 minutes into the fourth quarter. So don't be fooled by the final score when you see 16-10. That was bullshit. Like, the Gamblers dominated the game because the Generals could not move the ball. Bahar's back, and look, Bahar's doing the same thing that I talked about. The past 3 or 4 games that he's started, he hasn't turned the ball over. And that, I honestly think that's the key to winning these spring games. Don't turn the ball over, bleed the clock, and play good defense. Mark Thompson had another rushing touchdown. Also had 4 receptions. The guy's a fucking beast.
Yeah.
And the defense played well. They had a big 4th down and 2 stop against Darius Victor. This game frustrated me, though, because I didn't know DeAndre Johnson wasn't going to play. So, like, I didn't know that they were just going to randomly bench him.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened here.
Jeez.
Yeah, and then I also didn't know Bahar was going to play. So it was like, okay, that's just spring football bad luck. But at the same time, moving forward, I think Dakota Prokop is better than Kyle Lauletta Cheese. Putting Lauletta Cheese in there, I'm now very weary of the Generals, and I have a future on them, which is pretty devastating. But Patty C, I mean, you think New Jersey could still be in the Freedom Cup? Probably, right?
I do. I think who's the receiver? The little squirt.
Eccles Looper?
No, not Eccles Looper. He's kind of he's got some legit size. Eccles Looper. Warren. Let me go find.
Oh no, dude, Warren Newman, 555, and he was dinged up a lot last year. It's great to see his success this year.
Dude, they're so well constructed as a team. Every player on their team is like, that is a prototype of a position, and you can do these exact things with them. So it makes them so versatile that when it comes time to play a tight playoff game, they're going to have the weapons to be able to compete.
Yeah. It's amazing that they're 2-4. I really believe, and once again, another 1-score loss, but this is the one where I put it on the coach. I don't put it on turnovers. Like, they have a way of shooting themselves in the foot, whether it's Darius Victor's 3 fumbles. DeAndre Johnson didn't get the touchdown in the Birmingham game, even though it was a touchdown in my opinion. They've had these like kind of self-inflicted wounds. I feel like they should be better. They dominated some of these games, and here they are 2-4. They're still in the playoffs if it started today, but they don't look very good in my opinion. So, Patty C, I guess here's the question.
A little down on old Mike Riley, huh?
I didn't like this last year when he did Luis Perez and DeAndre Johnson back-to-back. Now, it worked out for him, but I still thought like
bad
both
approach in general.
Well, I just thought both didn't need to be benched at any time. I thought both were playing at a very high level, and I'm like, what's he doing? But it worked out for him because those guys are both pretty good. But you cannot tell me Kyle Lauletta Cheese should be starting over DeAndre Johnson. I will never buy that in any league of football. So
let me give a little shine to a couple of defensive players. Tizino, who I think might have been leading the league in tackles for Pittsburgh, cranks out another 16, including 11 solo tackles. And then who is the other stud that just absolutely went off?
Which game? I mean, there's a couple guys. The Maulers,
the Panthers. Ginda had 18 tackles.
He's player of the week, defensive player of the week in the USFL.
Okay, and then Speaks, the Ole Miss player who waves at the camera, 12 tackles. So he might be still trending for league defensive MVP.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think this week is going to be the best week of USFL football.
I haven't been peaked
over the past 2 years since they've came back. Let me read off the lineup here. Saturday, you got Birmingham taking on New Orleans in Penetrobe Stadium there in Birmingham, right?
Oh, love it.
Well, this is huge because I feel like if Birmingham wins this, that's going to be a game lead. There's only going to be 3 more weeks after this. There's a huge game on Fox going on, and then the nightcap is the Battle of Pennsylvania, the Philadelphia Stars, Pittsburgh Maulers. Maulers could get the 1 seed if they win this.
Yeah.
So every game is very critical this weekend. Then on Sunday, you have
huge game. And wait, have the Maulers already played the Stars?
I don't think so.
I feel like the Maulers are the exact team that would give the Stars trouble.
Hold on, let me pull back. Let me look.
They did, and they beat them 21-13.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. They are gonna fuck with them, dude. They're gonna win. I bet you they're gonna win. Then you have on Sunday though, Gamblers Showboats, where if Memphis wins this, they might be in the playoffs because no, they will be. I think they will. It depends. So New Orleans lost to Memphis, right? So if Birmingham beats New Orleans and Memphis beats Houston, the top 2 seeds in the South will be Birmingham and Memphis.
Yeah.
Interesting. Then you have a scenario also where
if that were to happen, you'd have 1 5-2 team in Birmingham and 3 4-3 teams below them in the Breakers.
Memphis would have the tiebreaker, I believe, since they beat the Gamblers and the Breakers.
And the Breakers. Gotcha.
But then you have Michigan, New Jersey in the nightcap on FS1. And by the way, the Gambler Showboats is on USA. So only one nationally televised game this week as far as like on the local channels on Fox. But Panthers Generals are the same team to me. They've been, shooting themselves in the foot all year. Whoever wins that is going to have the inside track on making the playoffs. All 4 games are actually really appealing to me. I think it's the best week of USFL football upon us that we've had in the year and a half of the bringback of the United States Football League. So, what game are you looking forward to most?
I guess you gotta say Stallions Breakers, right?
I think so too, but Stars Maulers is fun. Stars Maulers is fun, but I think you're right. Stallions Breakers.
We're not. Let me see, Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning kind of guys, but these are the 2 best quarterbacks in the league, I think.
Yeah. I just think you have everyone had the Breakers ranked number 1 in their power rankings for the past 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Birmingham won the championship a year ago. They've been battling injuries, and they seem to somehow start to look better and better. And yeah, you got this. And those are the 2 teams that played in the playoffs in the South a year ago. So should be very compelling. Fox, 4:00 Eastern time, 1:00 Pacific time. Tune in, folks. And look, remember, Thursday, I'll be back in studio. So come check out the USFL Gambling Podcast live as we do our preview picks and DFS. And give us a follow on Twitter at USFL Gambling, and make sure you subscribe over on YouTube. Not enough subscribers on the YouTube channel. Get over there.
Let's go.
Let's get it going, folks. This season's heating up. Give Patty C a follow on Twitter, PattyC831. Give myself a follow on Twitter at TheColbyD. We also host the College Football Experience. We've been doing that shit for years. So subscribe as that off season continues to inch closer and closer to August. We're breaking down all 133 college football teams with a solo podcast, just like we do every year. So check it out, folks. Check out the Sports Gambling Podcast. Is obviously NHL, NBA playoffs, all that good stuff. College baseball experience. Noah Beanick and myself host. That season's really starting to heat up as well. So check out all those. Get the SGPN app for free in the App Store or Google Play Store. You'll get access to all of our articles. Sometimes you might not even catch some of the USFL content that we got going out there at sportsgamblingpodcast.com. So check that out and hop in the Discord. Talk a little spring football with us. All right. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. And until Thursday. All right. We can't wait for this shit. So until Thursday, this is the USFL Gambling Podcast. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
If you see him on the street and tip your hat his way, you'll know just where he's headed and which game he's gonna play. He's a sharpshooting gunman and always aiming high. To win any gunfight, his limit is the sky. We're the gunslingers, on San Antonio. We're the gunslingers, on the road or at home. Remember the Alamo, for such as we are known. We're the gunslingers.